Welcome back. Now, APC governors have met with President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday, asking him to intervene in the chaos caused by the CBN NAIRA redesign policy. The governor specifically asked that the old notes be allowed to circulate with the new ones until such a time when the old notes will naturally fizzle out by the end of the year. In his response, the president asked to be given 7 days to resolve the cash crunch. He said the currency redesign will give a boost to the economy and provide long-term benefits, while expressing doubts about the commitments of banks, in particular to the success of the policy. Here is what the president specifically said about the banks. I'll quote the president now. Some banks are inefficient and only concerned about themselves. Even if a year is added, problems associated with selfishness and greed won't go away. End of quote. The president further said he had seen television reports about cash shortages and hardship to local businesses and ordinary people, and gave assurances that the balance of 7 of the 10-day extension will be used to crack down on whatever stood in the way of successful implementation. Now, this is what he said. I quote him again. I will revert to the CBN and the minting company. There will be a decision one way or the other in the next 7 days, and then a decision will finally be taken. That's exactly what the president told the governors. And of course, we'll wait and see what exactly happens. But the president said when he considered giving the approval to the policy, he demanded an undertaking from the CBN that no new notes will be printed in foreign country, and they in turn gave him assurances that there was enough capacity, manpower, and equipment to print the currency for local needs. He said he needed to go back to find out what was actually happening. But then, to get a clearer idea of how difficult the situation is at the moment, let's take a lesson now to some people out there, some people who actually either went to the bank to get cash or tried to use POS or tried to use ATM machines and they just couldn't lay their hands on the new notes. Take a listen to them.
Yes, the experience has been so terrible. I've been there for close to 3 hours trying to withdraw the money I kept in the bank. So it has been so terrible. On getting to my turn, now the bank is telling me that the ATM is sub-dispensing. They are telling us that they are not going to load again, that they don't have cash anymore. You can see the terrible situation. Common 10 naira I don't have in my pocket. This is a man that has family. Anytime you are leaving home, you need to drop some money with your children, your kids, and your wife. So the situation is so terrible and the experience is so poor that no one is happy with the situation of the economy.
The situation of the country is really hard to tell. Like right now, there's no money in the country anymore. Normal, if you withdraw 5,000, it's normal 100 naira charges. Right now, if you want to take 5,000 for POS operators, they charge you for 500 naira, 10,000, 1,000, 20,000, 2,000. You want to do 25,000, is 3,000 naira. So, for instance, today now, I walk all the way from Idushaga looking for money to withdraw, just to come to work. So are we sure, even with the extension, that there will be money? How are we sure? The situation has affected everybody. You can look. Everywhere is dry. People are not buying markets because there's no money. People who are doing business are not selling. So how are we sure the extension is going to help? So it's left for the CBN and the government to know what they're supposed to do to help the situation.
The POS is not even working at all. We can't use that. The network from the bank now is not good at all. We can't withdraw. We can't transfer. If you withdraw, it will be declined and you will be debited. They can't retrieve it. There's nothing we can do. We cannot even get cash at all presently. All I want now is we should be having access to money. That is all I want. Either they extend it or they don't extend it. That one is none of my business. All I know, I have money in my account. I cannot buy food to eat. Why?
Last week, Monday, I went to the Keystone Bank to withdraw money. Only for me, just 2 people before me, the money got finished. And it was only one ATM that was dispensing. And the only one that was spent was in 1,000 naira notes. I couldn't get enough transport to get home yesterday. I had to go to a POS, and they were telling me on Monday, I withdraw 10,000 naira for 300 naira. For me to go there again the following day, which was yesterday, they were telling me 10,000, 1,000 naira. So you can see it has been so very, very bad. For a country like this, it's very, very, very bad. Everybody the masses are suffering.
Ever since the introduction of the new NAIRA notes, we have been having issues getting money from the bank, and Right now, to even get old notes and the new notes is a very big challenge. Even if you go to the bank, tell them want to withdraw 100K. Before you can get the 100K, you even have to pay to get the 100K. And we cannot be at loss saying we want to give out cash and our charges will still be the same price. So because of that, we have to increase our charges so that we can get our money back for the amount of money we collected from the bank and then make our interest from it.
Prior to the cashless policy, it's easier for us to go to the bank, withdraw money. The moment the cashless policy comes into the system, it's very, very difficult to get cash through the bank. So we are also getting this cash from ATM, just like any other Nigerian. We queue up at ATM centers, maybe as early as 7 a.m. in the morning, up to the 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. in the night, waiting for the cash. So it's very, very difficult for us to go through all that pain and someone will just come to our shop and they are expecting to get the cash as before.
Now, let me just make an explanation here. The last two gentlemen who spoke are actually POS operators. And of course, you heard what they said, how difficult it is for them to get money. And that's the reason why they've made amendment to their charges now. And let me also say this. These soundbites now were actually taken some days ago. The situation has actually changed. Now, you heard some of them said, some of them now say that the charges for 10,000 naira to use the POS is 1,000 naira. As a matter of fact, as we speak at this very moment, if you were to withdraw 10,000 naira from any POS operator, the charge is actually 2,000 naira, and in some cases, 3,000 naira at the moment. So it's getting worse on a daily basis. Let's discuss this issue further. I'm being joined on the program right now by political analyst Jide Ojo, who joins us from Abuja. And then right here in Lagos, I have Libros Oshoma, who is a lawyer and a political analyst as well. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you, Libros. You heard what the president said when the governors met, the APC governors met with him. It would appear the president is still not convinced about, even though he said he has seen reports of how bad the situation is, but it appears he believes, he believes the narrative of the CBN that it's actually the commercial banks who are frustrating this policy now, that they're getting the money and not distributing them.
I think it is sad. And with the president's statement, it's also a notorious fact now that the president is so far and distant from reality that is happening. From feelers also, and listening to some people, even including members of the ruling party who are close to the president, once you want to throw any policy, no matter how irresponsible that policy is, once you want to convince the president about the policy, just tell him that you fight corruption, and then tell him that you swear by Allah. And straight on, I'm quoting Honorable Kazari now, and straight on the president will buy into it, and it becomes very adamant, insisting. Let's even look at the basis. Who are the banks to disobey the CBN? When the CBN said, do not dispense, do not give new notes across the counter. They weren't giving new notes across the counter. They were using ATMs. And now you have said, give across the counter just 20,000 naira, and they started giving 20,000 naira. What the CBN is not telling the president is that they are mopping up cash. A situation where you mop up 2 trillion naira of old notes, and then you bring only 300 billion. So what happened to the shortfall? That's why there is so much, hue and cry. Because we are not taking cognizance of the fact that you have so many people so many Nigerians whose daily living depends on this cash. Take the Akara market woman by my corner. The woman goes to the market in the afternoon, buys his beans, through cash. And then he grinds that beans, he's paying by cash. And then he comes the next day morning to fry his Akara. He collects, Akara 200 naira, 500 naira, as the case may be. That money does not get to the bank. Immediately he leaves. That's his point of sale. He's back to the market to buy beans, tomatoes, pepper, and the rest. So this set of traders do not even, the turnover, it's not enough for them to say, okay, let me go and deposit some in the bank today, or the money that they use. And the same thing, ordinarily, at every month end, the banks are overwhelmed with payment of salary because there's so much volume of transactions. We've noticed it consistently. Not to talk of you have a situation where there is no cash. A lot of people are now migrating to using the bank apps. Definitely and certainly it will crash. I have been a victim severally since this thing started. I've been detained in some cases, waiting for alerts to come because POS is not working. I can't do transfer for 3 days, 4 days now. I've not been able to do transfer on my bank apps. So the crisis is not just for the everyday Nigerian, including people that have, money in their banks.
Yes.
They cannot, access this money. And the problem, the backlash would be that a lot of people are going to withhold cash. I know somebody who told me just a few days ago that what will be happening to me now is every day he will be going to the bank, withdraw 20,000 he will keep, withdraw 20,000 he will keep. And that someday, if you need money in volume, he's going to sell. So that's another racket that nobody's seen. I think what happens in civilized society is that this currency, like the governors have said, go pari passu until gradually you phase out the old one. We've redesigned currency in this country.
Exactly.
Nobody had all of this problem. We redesigned 100 naira notes in December too, and nobody knew that currency were designed, and just gradually the whole thing phased out and we migrated to this new currency. But this, fire brigade approach that the CBN, is introducing, giving the president the impression that it will fight corruption and that, it is the bank that are not cooperating. I think it is the CBN that does not understand its policy, does not also understand the nature of the cash transaction that takes place in Nigeria, and that's why they are creating this. And I
think there's just no way the CBN would not understand or know these issues. So why the CBN underestimated the level and the amount of cash transactions in this country is quite baffling. But let me come to you, Jide Ojo. You've seen the press release from the presidency. What do you make of the president's position on this?
Again, thanks for the opportunity, and I think we are in an interesting times in Nigeria. A season of anomie. People queue for fuel. From queuing for fuel, they queue for PVC collection. Now they have to queue to collect their own money from the banks. It's a very interesting time. And what the president is saying, just like my elder brother there, Lebros have said, he just believes in one-track approach to issue. How will you just listen to your CBN governor? Recall that when this policy was introduced in October 2022. Sure. The Minister of Finance and Budget and National Planning said there will be consequences that our ministry was not even carried along. And that tells you the division within the presidency. If the Minister of Finance was not carried along and the CBN governor just felt he has had the approval of the president, he can go it alone. Now they are pointing, all fingers are pointing at sabotage from the money deposit banks. But what they are not advancing their minds to is that they are more than the issue of money deposit bank. Liberals have raised a very fundamental issue. If you say you have been able to mop up over 2 trillion and you have only printed maybe 500 million, definitely there will be scarcity, because those who many people do not trust banks to just keep their money. I do a simple arithmetic. If the interest on loan is in double digits, you know that, DEJI. You want to take interest from banks, definitely you pay 25–30% interest. But if you put your money in savings, just open a savings account and put 1 million naira there. In 6 months, you will not get 50,000 as interest.
Absolutely. On your nothing close to that.
So there is no incentive for people to save.
Yeah, true.
So if there's no incentive for people to save, why then will you mop up funds without printing an equivalent of that money for people to be able to access? So Mr. President is just clutching at a straw, believing that his CBN, believing in the fallacy of CBN scapegoating and gaslighting the money deposit banks and saying that, oh, they are the one doing the racketeering. I'm not saying they are not, but the problem is bigger than that. Basic economics tells us that when supply is lower than demand, price will fall. When demand is higher than supply, price will rise. So that is exactly the basic. If you supply enough, these bank managers are not going to eat this money. They are going to push it out. And I have a customer. I went to a pharmacy to a supermarket rather, not pharmacy, to buy some items yesterday. And the guy was telling me that at the bank, he got 90,000 naira from the bank, and he paid 9,000 naira as charges to get 90,000. So definitely, be running a POS, he will have to put his own profit margin. So you don't blame those people. Look at the supply chain. What is the supply like? Why were we not having this problem until January 2020? And for me, DEJI, I'm 100% with El Rufai on this matter. This is a wrongly timed policy. When Buhari in 1984 redesigned the NAIRA, it was at the beginning of his administration, of his regime, not at the end of his regime. He should have learned from history. There are certain things you don't do on the eve of election. Look at it now. 3 weeks to election, Nigerians from all hues and cries are crying about non-availability of their money. You can see the drama that is taking place across banking halls. Ladies stripping themselves, men stripping themselves, shouting that they want to close their account because their children could not go to school. They deposited this money in the first place. Why? And why would CBN even say that there should be no across-the-counter payment in the first place? Why should that happen? Why should I go to the bank?
Isn't this, it would appear this is just a case of the central bank. It would appear this is just a case of the central bank trying to force the cashless policy on the country.
Exactly, but even at that, the cashless online banking, e-banking solution has been problematic in the last couple of weeks. So if you want to make that an alternative, people like us who doesn't want to go and queue at the ATM, you know, I saw a trending video earlier today where somebody wanted to buy sugarcane, and the sugarcane seller is now carrying POS. You get? Now, how much sugarcane can you buy that you need to now pay through POS? The issue is that even if you want to force everybody to adopt cashless policy, then your internet ICT infrastructure should be very robust to take on the volume of people who will migrate to that platform to transact business. Now we are in a dilemma. We cannot access our cash, and now the online banking platforms are also experiencing downtime. In which case, you try to transact business, is either not telling you that your own internet is poor when your internet is good, or that, you know, it will debit you and not credit the person that you have paid to. So this dilemma, if you want to do a seamless online online banking, then you will have encouraged and incentivized this money deposit bank to increase and strengthen their internet infrastructure. What I've also learned is that many of the bank staffs who are in the ICT departments have migrated
yes.
to other countries. So you have a unit that has about 40 staff, they are, you know, helping with the ICT platform. Now left with 5 or 7.
Let me pause you there, Judy, and let me quickly go to Libros. Libros, the president has said he is going to go back to the CBN and the minting company to find out what the problem is, you know, in the next 7 days and try to resolve this. And I'm wondering, in the next 7 days,
I think
the extension, of course, is supposed to terminate by February 10th. So obviously, it's like the president is buying for time here. I'm just wondering what exactly the president can do between now and the next 7 days to resolve this.
You see, DG, I feel ashamed, seriously speaking. The president saying, I'm going to go back to the cause of the problem to find out what is actually the cause of the problem. I had expected that the president would say, I will seek an independent advice. Now, the governors, representative of the people, including the National Assembly, had complained. The CBN has insisted that, look, it's a good policy and it must go. And so, as the umpire, I'm going to now seek an independent opinion so as to understand what these challenges are and how we can ameliorate them. Going back to the CBN, who is an interested party in the matter for me, is that you have concluded that this problem must stay. And so whether we like it or not, let me just buy time and go back to the people that you are complaining against to find out. The CBN had told you that the problem is the banks who are not cooperating. The president has said that it's the banks who are not cooperating. So why go back to the same CBN? Because they will tell you that it's the banks that are not cooperating. So I think the president really does not appreciate the enormity of the challenge that we are facing here. And so that's why he thinks, you know, you just sit down there, want to fight corruption, and so this is a way to fight corruption. Now, it is so also sad and unfortunate that Nigerian Naira is selling at the black market. People have to pay Naira to buy Naira. And they're having to refer back to the first coming of President Muhammadu Buhari. This is his exit point. And what would he want to be remembered for? People will remember him for the man who created the most hardship on Nigerians, whose tenure Nigerians were buying Naira with Naira. And at the end of the day, the Naira that you're going to strengthen, a lot of people will no longer be confident in putting their money in the bank because they don't know what will happen. We also are not appreciative of the fact that you have a lot of people who, whether you want to migrate them to online platform or not, it is almost impossible at this stage because the poverty in the land, for no fault of theirs, had made it so that they now become the everyday usage of a Naira or the currency. I give you an example. I give you an example with the Akara market woman. I gave you an example. My brother and a friend, Jide, talked about the sugarcane seller. Also, there are the everyday laborer, construction worker who are hired on a daily basis, whose salaries are paid on daily basis. So that man who hired them, you now queue up and say, I want to be doing transfer. Some of them don't even have enough. They'll tell you, I don't have an account because I don't even have enough to eat. Somebody asked me yesterday, nobody will get money, go get account. And then there are some villages, like in my village, there is no bank. You have to travel for almost 1 hour to be able to access a bank. There are so many villages in the north. I was in Kano and I saw people carrying cash.
No bank, no ATM machine, no
exactly,
super
carrying
agents,
cash
no...
with sacks in motorcycles to travel from point A to point B to go make deposit. What gave rise to the huge rise in the numbers of POS? Because of non-availability of banking. Look at the crisis created by evil internet in the Oshu election. Transmission of data from PVC, what do you call it? Beaver's device to the back-end server, producing two conflicting results. Not to talk of situations where you even make transfer. Ordinarily, you make transfers and this you are debited, but the other party is not credited, like my brother has said. So all of this, we think that's why you need to allow this system go pari passu and begin to resolve the challenges as they come. And not just in one full swoop, say no, you bring down the hammer and say 3 months, whether you strengthen your internet access or not, whether your IT experts are taken off from this country because it is more lucrative, their services are more lucrative in other countries or not. So by 3 months, You must strengthen your IT department. You must strengthen the availability of your IT platform. And so we must migrate. And once we migrate, there is no extension. Even great countries that perfectly have migrated to cashless societies are still redesigning their currency and giving a 2-year window to say, you know what, we'll gradually migrate from this queen's head to the king's head, and this migration will terminate in 2024. It started in 2022, just like Nigeria did. But here, Nigeria, because you say, oh, we want to limit the availability of cash for vote buying. If politicians want this new note, they will get it, not the ordinary man. Worst case, we even accuse them of shoring up dollars to buy vote. What's the guarantee that they will not show up dollars, mop up dollars to even buy the same votes that you're trying to limit them from buying? So all of these excuses, I think the governor of the CBN, the president, should look at the issues holistically. Look for an independent opinion rather than this narrow-minded approach to the issue. It's almost like it's playing a ping pong. You go back to CBN, then the CBN will explain. You go back to the governors will insist. Look for an independent opinion on the matter, and I'm sure and certain that independent opinion will tell him that it is better you take this issue, step by step, rather than this fire brigade approach that you are trying to adopt. And quickly, lastly, DEJI, I must also say this, that the way a lot of people also have accused the CBN governor of being political, and I will also agree with them. The moment the CBN governor attempted to contest the election under the ruling party and even hired the services of a lawyer to challenge the CBN or to seek the interpretation of the CBN to allow him to participate in an election despite occupying a position that is non-partisan, most of his decision would definitely be viewed from the prism of interference in political decisions.
Jide, let me get the last word from you. How quickly do you think the president needs to resolve this? Because you look at it, waiting for the next 7 days, and with the situation deteriorating, people finding it more difficult on a daily basis to access money. I mean, you just can't allow this to go on for another 7 days.
Well, for me, the solution is staring us in the face. And what is it? Remove the deadline, remove the timeline. Tell people they can do this at their own conveniences. Until when the CBN governor met with the House of Reps a few days ago, they didn't advance our mind to Section 20 or thereabout of the CBN Act, which says that people should have about 5 to 6 months window to exchange their oaths for new notes. It's in the CBN Act. So why are they giving us 100 days or 110 days within which to do so? And this whole idea of catching thieves on the eve of election. Which thieves are they trying to catch? The bottom line is that these politicians are very smart. You could see the viral video of people who are at a party who are squandering this NAIRA note, the new one that many of us are queuing to get. So these politicians are stakeholders in many of the money deposit banks, and if they want 1 billion, they will get it. So why are we now making the rest of the country to suffer because we want to catch some few thieves? And when Governor El-Rufai said in Yobe State, out of 17 local governments, only 2 local governments have banks. Out of the 23 local governments in Kaduna State, 2 of them don't have banks at all. The same thing with the Borno State. So Borno, Kano, and many of the northern states. So it's his own people that will definitely feel the brunt more than the rest of the country. So if he wants to leave the stage on the wrong side of history, so be it. We saw what happened to him in Kano a few days ago, even though they are trying to debunk it that he was never stoned. But this is a state that gave you one of your highest votes in 2019. If you are no longer welcome in such environment, it tells you a story. You can see the protest that is also allegedly, reportedly going on in Katsina, his home state. So he needs to do people-friendly policy. There is nothing that says, there is nothing sacrosanct that
Exactly.
So even if you want to access your name, the platform will tell you it's not available. Meanwhile, you have the slip that you have duly registered for your NIN and you have the slip. So this is what I'm saying. Let CBN announce that there will be either 1 year or 6 months, or there will be no deadline for the exchange of old Naira for new ones. And as you receive old Naira, exchange it for new ones. That way, this whole chaos will just die a natural death. In fact, under 2 days, you will not see anybody queuing, because they know that at their own convenience, they can take their money to the bank or to buy something at the supermarket or at the fuel station, and when it gets into the banking, or they can have it exchanged for new ones. So this artificial scarcity, this short supply of new Naira notes is the root cause of all of this, and that's why bank managers and officials are racketeering with the money. That's why they are making that they have turned into a cash cow, charging exorbitant interest to those who want to have the new cash in their banking.
All right. I want us to take a short break here, but I want both of you to stay, because the next topic that we're going to discuss, I want both of you, I want your input on the topic now. Please stay with us. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Opinions are free. Facts are sacred. But truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.